Have you ever imagined what would happen if two completely different worlds collided? Like, what if the colossal, terrifying AT-AT walkers from Star Wars were suddenly dropped onto the battlefields of World War II? It's a wild thought, right? But let us actually break it down and see how these sci-fi behemoths would have changed the course of history. First, let's set the stage. It's the 1940s. The dominant forces on the ground are tanks, the German Tigers, the Soviet T-34s, the American Shermans. These were the cutting edge of military technology at the time. They were formidable, armored beasts that could turn the tide of any battle. Now, imagine you're a soldier in the trenches, and over the horizon, you don't see a tank. You see a four-legged metal giant, standing over 22 meters tall, its heavy feet shaking the very ground you stand on. The psychological impact alone would be devastating. Soldiers would be paralyzed by fear and confusion. What is this thing? Where did it come from? It would be like a monster from a nightmare brought to life. Let's talk about firepower. The main weapons on an AT-AT are its heavy laser cannons. These aren't just big guns. They fire concentrated beams of energy that can blast through the armor of starships. Now, apply that to World War II technology. A single shot from an AT-AT's cannon would slice through the thickest armor of a Tiger tank like a hot knife through butter. It wouldn't just disable the tank. It would likely cause a catastrophic explosion. The standard anti-tank weapons of the era, like the bazooka or the Panzerfaust, would be completely useless. Their projectiles would just bounce off the AT-AT's thick armor plating, which is designed to withstand energy weapons far more powerful than anything on Earth. So, on the ground, the AT-AT is practically invincible. A single walker could probably wipe out an entire tank division without breaking a sweat. It could march straight through defensive lines, fortifications, and cities. Imagine an AT-AT striding through the streets of a besieged city like Stalingrad or Berlin. Buildings would crumble under its feet. Its chin-mounted medium blasters would mow down infantry squads with terrifying efficiency. There would be almost no way to stop it with conventional means. The speed might be a slight disadvantage, as AT-ATs are not particularly fast, but their sheer destructive power and defensive capabilities more than make up for it. They are relentless, unstoppable juggernauts. But what about from the air? World War II saw the rise of air supremacy as a key to victory. Fighters like the Spitfire, the Mustang, and the Messerschmitt ruled the skies. Could they take down an AT-AT? This is where things get a bit more interesting. The armor on an AT-AT is thickest on its body and head, but what about its legs and neck? The famous takedown scene in The Empire Strikes Back shows that a tow cable can trip them. While World War II planes didn't have tow cables designed for that, a coordinated, low-level bombing run might have a chance. Pilots would need incredible skill and bravery. They'd have to fly dangerously low, right into the teeth of the AT-AT's blasters, and try to score direct hits on the leg joints. A well-placed bomb could potentially cripple a leg, causing the walker to lose balance and fall. This is the AT-AT's biggest weakness, its high center of gravity. If it falls, it's pretty much out of the fight. The neck joint is another potential weak spot. A concentrated strafing run from multiple fighters might be able to damage the connection between the head and the body, but it would be a high-risk maneuver. The AT-AT's own laser cannons can track and shoot down aircraft, so any air attack would come at a heavy cost. So, let's imagine a scenario, D-Day. The Allies are storming the beaches of Normandy. But instead of machine gun nests and artillery, they're met by a line of AT-ATs wading through the surf, their cannons blasting landing craft out of the water before they even reach the shore. The invasion would be a complete and utter disaster. The beachhead would be unattainable. The course of the war in Europe would be changed in a single day. The same goes for the Eastern Front. A squadron of AT-ATs supporting the German advance into Russia could have punched right through Soviet lines and reached Moscow in record time. The sheer shock and awe would shatter enemy morale. But who would control these machines? Let's say, for the sake of this thought experiment, that one of the major powers, let's say the Axis, somehow acquired a fleet of them. The war would be over in months. There would be no counter. The Allies would have to surrender or face total annihilation. The technological gap would be too vast to overcome. It would be like bringing a modern-day aircraft carrier to a battle in the age of sail. It's not even a fair fight. However, there's a flip side. What if the Allies got the AT-ATs? The war would end even faster. Imagine a column of AT-ATs marching into Berlin. The war in Europe would conclude swiftly, saving millions of lives that were lost in the final, brutal year of the conflict. In the Pacific, an AT-AT assault on Japanese-held islands would make the brutal island-hopping campaigns a thing of the past. The strategic and tactical implications are mind-boggling. Now, let's dig into the logistics, because that's always a crucial part of warfare. Where would you get the fuel? AT-ATs run on powerful reactors. They don't need gasoline or diesel. This would actually be a huge advantage, eliminating the need for vulnerable fuel supply lines. But what about maintenance? These are highly complex machines. If one breaks down, there are no spare parts. There are no mechanics who know how to fix a hyper-welded Durasteel leg joint. So, while they are incredibly powerful, they would be a finite resource. Each one lost would be irreplaceable. A nation with AT-ATs would have to use them wisely, as decisive, strategic assets rather than everyday weapons. You wouldn't risk one in a minor skirmish. You'd save it for the battle that could end the war. The AT-AT in World War II is a fascinating concept because it highlights the importance of technological superiority in warfare. It also shows us how a single, game-changing weapon can render all existing tactics obsolete overnight. Generals and strategists would be forced to throw out their playbooks and start from scratch. How do you fight a monster you can't kill? Do you try to lure it into a trap? Use its size and lack of maneuverability against it? Maybe lead it into a swamp or a narrow canyon where it gets stuck. Guerrilla tactics would become essential. Ultimately, the presence of AT-ATs would have turned World War II into something unrecognizable. It would have been less of a war and more of a one-sided conquest. The balance of power would be completely shattered. The psychological terror, the unmatched firepower, and the incredible durability of the AT-AT would make it the ultimate weapon on a 1940s battlefield. It's a terrifying and awe-inspiring thought. It really makes you appreciate the context of the Star Wars universe, where such machines are just another part of the military arsenal. For the soldiers of World War II, it would have been the apocalypse on four legs. What do you think? How would you try to take down an AT-AT with World War II technology? Let me know your craziest ideas in the comments below. It's fun to think about these epic crossovers. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this little thought experiment, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite sci-fi worlds. See you next time.